So one of the challenges you might have is you don't feel like you're getting enough done. And one of the premises of these series of videos, or indeed my whole channel, it's not about the grind. It's not about getting as much done as you can, but it is certainly about feeling like you're unleashing yourself to get those things done that you want to get done. So that's a subset of all those things you feel like you need to get done. Out of all those things you need to do, or you feel you need to do, there's a subset of those things you want to get done. So this is about how do we get those things done? And one of the best ways to do that is to structure your day. So let's unravel that a little bit, because it sounds quite sterile and clinical, doesn't it? Structuring your day. So what does that mean? So for me, it's about or how it manifests, what it looks like is I sit down, oh actually I've got an example right here, and I just plan my day just on a pad while I'm having breakfast, and I just put down all the key things that I want to do and a time next to them. And I'm not bringing it off another list. There's not another list of 20 or 30 things that I want to do and then I'm ordering all those things. It's literally off the top of my head because I already know what it is that I need to do. So what are the big 3 or 4 things? So I put them on the list, on the plan for the day, and sometimes I weave around that my eating, so what I'm going to eat and when, and that helps me to make good eating decisions because I'm making those eating decisions before I'm hungry. I'm making them in the morning while I'm having breakfast. So what I have for morning tea, what I have for lunch, what I have for dinner, and certainly if I've got to work out my pre-workout meal, I'm making all the good decisions in the morning. So all I need to do is follow those decisions, what I decide or what I plan to eat, and then I know I'm following the right things. So let's go back a step. Just simply structure my day or plan my day. And it only takes 5 minutes writing down the big things that I need to do and weaving in around that my nutritional plan. Here's a couple of key tips though. The first one is put hours across or against those key things that you're going to do. So when I say hours, what time you're going to start and what time you're going to finish. Now you have to stick to that because I've fallen foul of, planning to do one particular priority from 8 to 10, but I don't get to it until 8:30. And then it's taking longer than I feel. And so what I'll do is I'll go through to 11, but then I'm an hour behind on the next thing. And then the day just blows up. So one thing I've learned is stick to those times. If you haven't finished the thing before, that's okay, because it's probably one of those pieces of work that you're going to come back to over sequential days. So a lot of the stuff on your list might be like the stuff on my list where you're not going to get it done in a day. You're working on a part of something. So imagine you're writing a book and you're dedicating 2 hours to that book. You're not going to get that book finished in that 2-hour block. It's going to be a number of 2-hour blocks over the days. Now, don't start that block late and don't go over the block. Finish it early so you're ready for the next block and you can flow on. Now, you won't get, if you're dedicating 2 hours to the book and it's from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and then you're going to go off for a run before dinner, when 4 p.m. starts, get into the book, even if you're doing something else. Now, of course, there's always exceptions to the rule. So if you're on the phone and you're talking to a family member, you're not going to truncate that phone call. You're going to continue it. That's fine. Get into the book. You might spend an hour and a half as opposed to 2, but finish at 6. Don't let the running behind on one thing bleed through to all the other things. That will help you be disciplined and focused as well. When you know that you can't let things just ramble on into the next thing, then you know you need to be focused and quite intense in those things that you do because you've got a hard finish time. So that's one of the key tips. Plan your day. The best time to plan your day, as I say, often I plan it over breakfast, but also almost as often I plan it the night before when I've finished work for the day. So this is before dinner. I'll plan out the next day what I need to do, because hot in my mind is the work I've done today and what I need to continue on tomorrow. So the priorities are pretty clear. They might change overnight, but usually not. And if they do, that's fine. I, like you, can handle that dynamic change. We're flexible enough, we can make the changes we need to make. And priorities can change during the day, depending on the phone call that you've just had with someone that you share the work with, whether it's a colleague or a boss or a contractor or one of your associates, whoever it is. You have these conversations and things change. So whether it's over breakfast or dinner the night before dinner the night before, plan your day. Set aside those hours and don't let one block bleed into the other. Or, of course, if you don't think that's a good idea, that's fine. Try letting it bleed and do that day after day, and then subsequently flip it on its head and go, no, if I say I'm going to be working on my book from 7 a.m. to 8:30, then I'm going to finish at 8:30, irrespective of when I start, because it might be 7, it might be 7:15, or 7:30, or whatever. And then, because you've worked a shorter time on your book, you might think, man, I'm frustrated about that because I really wanted to work, say, 2 hours on my book and I only worked 1 hour on my book. But that's a problem to solve. So why did you work 1 hour when you had allotted 2 hours, and you'd feel better getting 2 hours of work done rather than 1, which means the book will take half the length of time to write as it would when you are only doing half the time. It'll cost double in time. So you've got that problem to solve. If you're going to be starting at 7 and finishing at 9, but you're starting at 8 all the time, you're starting late, why is that? And that's why you need to have that hard finish. And I advocate that you have that hard finish. So then, again, like I've said before, it doesn't bleed into the other stuff and blow up, and all of a sudden, it feels like the day's got away from you. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. So that's my tip. Plan the day, whether it's over breakfast or the night before. Try, see what works for you. Don't pick any more than 4 things. Again, take everything I say with your own experience. For me, more than 4 blows my mind, because we're talking chunky things. We're not talking small things. So again, on my list here, I've got my chunky things here, but I've got a list here of just tiny things I can do that are just sort of space fillers. When I need a 5-minute break and I'm transitioning from one thing to another and I want to do something a little bit different, there might be a couple of smaller jobs that I just knock off the list. So it might be putting a wash on, or throwing it in the dryer, or just making a batch of paleo pancakes, or I don't know, whatever it is. But it might be small little things, checking the letterbox, that you want to do. And so I put that on the right hand side. Left hand side is the chunky things. So let's wrap this. Plan your 3 to 4 things. As I say, I advocate no more than 4 things, because if you dedicate, say, 2 hours to each where you're getting substantive work done, 2 times 4, 8 hours, that's a pretty chunky day. That's great. Over breakfast or the night before, put the hours next to them, have a hard finish. So don't just have, these are the 4 things I need to work on today. When are you going to work on them? Have a hard finish. If you find you're not getting it done by the hard finish, work out why. Not during the day, leave it to the evening. How did my day go? Did I meet the hard finishes? If I didn't, or if I allocated 2 hours to work on my book and I only did 1 hour, why was that? Is it a lesson that can be learnt? And just rotate through day in, day out. And that's all about structure. So when I talk about structure, that's what I'm talking about, structuring your day. The other good thing about doing it the day before is sometimes I get pumped as I go to bed, because I'm excited about the next day and what I'm going to get my teeth into. Not so excited I lose sleep over it, but excited enough that I know I'm waking up with purpose. So if my alarm goes off at 5:45 and I've got my morning routine that I'm going to do before my first block of work, so my morning routine might be from 6 to 7, before my first block of work, that takes me from 7 to 9. I know I've got to get up at 5:45 to start my morning routine at 6, because that's the only way I'm going to get it finished by 7, so I can start that block of work at 7, and that's going to provide the integrity of 2 hours of work in that block, enabling me to finish at 9 with 2 hours of work done. So those are the sorts of things. So also, if you struggle with discipline or procrastination, it's the structuring that can be helpful for that. So that's the tip. Structure your day. Put in some breathing space though. That's why I say 4 things maximum, because then you can spend up to 2 hours on each. Probably better if you can do an hour and a half on each and have a little bit of breathing space around them. Be careful though what you put in what I'm calling that breathing space between that 2-hour blocks or those 1.5 hour blocks, because you don't want something in between those things that will take your focus away, so much so that you get caught up in something else and then it blows up. Be reasonable about what you do in those blocks, or at least if those things are going to take some time, be reasonable about the time you allocate them. So don't allocate 15 minutes to lunch. If lunch is something that you need to, it's not just a reheat lunch, you need to bake. Even if it's a reheat lunch, come on, 15 minutes, come on. I mean, if you want to add value to lunch, fine, have a YouTube video on or something that covers something that's going on in world affairs at the moment that you feel like you can learn from, or just something else that you think you can learn from, so you're getting a rich video while you're having lunch, and then make it that half an hour. With that said though, you want to be conscious about your eating and making sure that you're chewing the food properly and all of that good stuff. So don't try and do too many things at once where you don't do any of them properly. So up to you, but consider structuring your day and the impact that it has on you. Again, like anything, give it a try. Of course, this advice, I'm not really telling you that you should do this, only you know that. But by me making this video, I'm telling me that I need to do this because I know it works for me. If you think it'll work for you and you want to try it, do it. And if it works, steal it, use it. And that's the whole point. All right. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I don't know how you do it. I never watch my own videos because it would drive me nuts. Part of that's, of course, hearing the sound of your own voice. But thank you so much for your patience and listening to me express that point. All right. Hopefully, catch you in the next one.